Step away from the vehicle. Now.
Is there a problem, officer?
Where'd you get that uniform?
I'm a Navy SEAL. I just came from a ceremony.
You got ID?
Yes. But what am I being detained for?
Hands on the car. Don't argue.
Travis Holbrook had spent 9 years as a deputy with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department before answering a call that would wreck his career and land him in federal prison for 58 years. At 34, he was seasoned enough to understand protocol, yet arrogant enough to trust his instincts without question. That Friday evening at a Highland Avenue gas station, he spotted a black man wearing a Navy uniform and immediately assumed it wasn't legitimate. The man happened to be Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, a highly decorated Navy SEAL who'd served 16 years, completed multiple combat tours, and received medals recognizing exceptional bravery. Holbrook's actions that night, disregarding Mitchell's identification, dismissing his military credentials, and detaining a war hero in full-dress uniform, would set off a Pentagon inquiry, federal prosecution, and a court case revealing 9 years of systematic racial profiling. Holbrook's employment history revealed a pattern San Bernardino County had overlooked for almost 10 years. 14 complaints across 9 years. 14. Each one concerned people of color. Each one followed an identical pattern. A black family having a barbecue at Glen Helen Regional Park. Holbrook asked for permits, made threats about citations when they challenged him. A Hispanic youth skateboarding near Victoria Gardens Mall, held for 40 minutes, his backpack was searched without permission. An Asian executive photographing buildings downtown, interrogated about potential terrorism surveillance. A black university student traveling through Rancho Cucamonga, pulled over for appearing suspicious while driving. Vehicle searched. Nothing illegal discovered. The complaints existed in the record. The pattern couldn't have been clearer. Yet San Bernardino County examined each incident separately, never piecing them together into what they obviously represented: a deputy who perceived people of color as not belonging in certain places based on his prejudiced worldview. His supervisors wrote in performance reviews that Holbrook got results, but sometimes pushed too hard during public encounters, that additional de-escalation training would benefit him, that cultural awareness needed improvement, but these observations never translated into actual penalties. 3 complaints led to written warnings that got filed and forgotten. 4 prompted mandatory retraining courses Holbrook completed but ignored. 7 closed due to supposedly insufficient evidence despite witness testimony. 0 resulted in suspension, rank reduction, or firing. So Holbrook continued his patrols, continued his stops, continued his assumptions, and San Bernardino County continued overlooking the pattern until he targeted someone who couldn't be brushed aside, someone whose background included Pentagon support, someone whose detention would finally demand accountability. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell was 38 when Deputy Holbrook decided his Navy uniform couldn't be genuine. Mitchell had served as a Navy SEAL for 16 years. 16 years doing work most civilians can't imagine. He joined the Navy at 22, determined to break free from San Bernardino's poverty and violence that had killed 3 friends from his high school. Basic training at Great Lakes, followed by BUD/S basic underwater demolition, SEAL training where 80% of recruits drop out. Mitchell didn't drop out. 6 months of absolute hell. Freezing water immersions, relentless physical punishment, sleep deprivation meant to shatter your will. He made it through, earned his trident, the gold insignia SEALs wear with honor. Then the genuine work started. His first tour took him to Iraq in 2009, Ramadi, clearing structures, tracking high-value targets, witnessing teammates under fire. His second deployment went to Afghanistan, Helmand Province. 8 months in the Highlands, facing ambushes and IEDs, operations still classified today. His third deployment brought him back to Iraq, to Mosul, battling ISIS, missions so brutal Mitchell continued having nightmares. Syria, Yemen, Somalia, places the American public rarely heard mentioned, operations that never reached the news. In 2016, during a mission in northern Iraq, Mitchell's team got ambushed. 8 SEALs trapped by intense machine gun fire, RPGs detonating, teammates bleeding. Mitchell, already wounded by shrapnel, his leg pouring blood, charged into the kill zone 3 separate times, pulling wounded operators to safety. He defended a position by himself for 12 minutes while his team evacuated, taking incoming fire from 3 angles, shooting back until his ammunition was gone. All 8 teammates made it out alive. Mitchell received the Navy Cross, the second highest military honor for courage, just beneath the Medal of Honor. The citation described exceptional heroism under hostile fire and total disregard for his own safety. He also received the Purple Heart for his injuries and the Bronze Star with V for valor from another operation. His chest displayed ribbons most civilians wouldn't understand, but every service member recognized. Combat Action Ribbon, Iraq Campaign Medal with 4 stars, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, NATO Medal, ribbons representing years of personal sacrifice. That Friday evening in October, Mitchell drove through San Bernardino wearing his Navy service dress blue uniform, the formal military clothing worn for ceremonies and official events. He'd just attended a memorial service at Naval Base San Diego for a teammate who'd fallen, a brother killed during a training exercise. The service had drained him emotionally, reminded him of how many friends he'd buried. He was heading to his mother's place to surprise her. Hadn't seen her in 8 months. Couldn't explain where he'd been. Classified mission. Dangerous assignments. He simply wanted to embrace her, sleep in his childhood bedroom, pretend briefly that the world wasn't on fire. At 10:47 p.m., his fuel warning light appeared. He turned into the Chevron station on Highland Avenue. The Chevron on Highland Avenue sits where San Bernardino's working-class areas meet the somewhat wealthier neighborhoods heading north. It's your typical 24-hour station serving night shift workers, long-distance truckers, and travelers passing through. Harsh fluorescent lighting, 8 fuel pumps, compact convenience store with bulletproof glass protecting the cashier. On that Friday evening in October, the station was calm. Just a handful of vehicles, folks handling their business, pumping gas, and moving on. At 10:47 p.m., Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell pulled his silver Honda Accord up to pump number 5. He climbed out, still wearing his Navy service dress blues. The uniform is unmistakable dark navy blue jacket with gold buttons, white shirt beneath, black necktie, matching navy pants. On his left chest, precise rows of ribbons in strict military order. The Navy Cross positioned at top, its blue and white stripes instantly recognizable to anyone with military understanding. Purple Heart positioned below that, then Bronze Star with the small bronze V marking for valor. Campaign medals, service ribbons, each telling a story of deployment, sacrifice, fighting. On his right chest, his gold seal trident, the eagle gripping an anchor, trident and pistol, the insignia every SEAL earns after years of brutal training. His shoulder boards displayed 2.5 gold stripes, marking a lieutenant commander's rank 04, matching an army major. His military bearing was unmistakable, the posture, shoulders squared, head elevated, the stance drilled into service members through years of discipline. His shoes gleamed, his uniform remained spotless. Despite the exhausting day, he appeared exactly as he was a decorated Navy officer in formal military dress. Mitchell swiped his credit card at the pump, chose regular unleaded, and started filling his tank. He felt drained, emotionally spent from the memorial service, from saying goodbye to yet another teammate who'd survived war zones only to die in a training accident. His thoughts drifted to his mother, imagining her surprise at seeing him, wondering if she'd baked her legendary peach cobbler lately. He wasn't considering the person observing him from across the lot, someone who noticed his uniform, noticed his skin, and concluded something seemed wrong. Before we go further, where are you watching from? If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. These stories deserve to be heard, and your support allows us to shine light on more truth. The emergency call reached San Bernardino County Sheriff's Dispatch at 10:51 p.m. Anonymous caller, declining to give a name, phoning from a cell that would eventually be tracked to an apartment building 3 blocks from the Chevron. Yeah, I'm reporting a suspicious individual at the gas station on Highland Avenue. There's this black guy dressed in what appears to be a military costume, and he's been loitering for a while. He seems menacing. I suspect he might be pretending to be military or something. Can you dispatch someone to investigate? The dispatcher posed routine questions. Is this person acting threatening? Has he approached anyone? Is he armed? No, but he just appears suspicious. The uniform appears fake. I doubt he's actually military. He doesn't look like someone who should be wearing that. The dispatcher recorded the call suspicious person, possible stolen valor, and broadcast it. The assignment went to Deputy Travis Holbrook, patrolling 2 miles distant. Holbrook responded instantly. This call activated every bias embedded in his pattern. A black man, in a location where Holbrook's prejudices said black men didn't fit, wearing something appearing too legitimate, too accomplished, too authoritative for Holbrook to accept as authentic. In Holbrook's thinking, the story was already written before his arrival. Black individual in military uniform at a late-night gas station, probably homeless, probably mentally disturbed, probably purchased the uniform second-hand or online. Stolen valor, pretending to be military. That's federal. He's going to investigate, likely make an arrest. Another successful case. Holbrook never considered the uniform might be authentic. He didn't contemplate calling the base for confirmation. He didn't question why someone faking military service would wear such elaborate, expensive, perfectly tailored dress blues with specific medals and ribbons. He simply observed a black man in military dress and determined it had to be counterfeit. His bias ran so deep, so ingrained after 9 years of targeting minorities without repercussions, that evidence became irrelevant. His assumptions replaced reality. He arrived at the Chevron at 10:54 p.m., emergency lights activated, already treating this as criminal investigation rather than a welfare check. Mitchell was completing his fuel purchase, replacing the nozzle, closing his gas cap when he noticed the patrol vehicle racing in, lights painting red and blue across the pavement. Deputy Holbrook exited his patrol vehicle before fully stopping, his hand positioned on his belt near his firearm, his body language aggressive, confrontational. He walked straight toward Mitchell, who stood beside his Honda, fuel door shut, receipt printing from the machine. Mitchell turned and saw the deputy approaching rapidly, lights still rotating, and his heart sank. He'd experienced this before. Not this exact scenario, but similar enough. He understood what was happening. Step back from that vehicle. Hands visible. Now. Mitchell lifted his hands gradually, palms forward, unthreatening. His voice stayed calm, measured, the tone of someone trained to diffuse volatile situations. Officer, I'm just getting gas. Is something wrong? Holbrook stopped 3 feet away, his eyes examining Mitchell from head to toe, absorbing the uniform, the medals, the rank insignia, and perceiving none of it as legitimate. Playing dress-up in a military costume isn't amusing. Remove it immediately. Mitchell's heart dropped. He'd served 16 years, deployed to war zones most Americans couldn't locate on a map, earned medals for bravery under enemy fire, and someone was calling his uniform a costume. He recognized the tone, the presumption, the charge. This wasn't about his uniform, this was about his race. Officer, this isn't a costume. I'm active duty Navy SEAL. I just attended a memorial service at Naval Base San Diego. I'm traveling to visit my mother. Holbrook's face remained unchanged. Sure you are. Stolen valor is federal. You're impersonating a military officer. Mitchell felt rage building but maintained his steady voice. 16 years of training, of staying composed under pressure, of managing reactions when lives hung in the balance. Sir, I'm not impersonating anyone. This is my legitimate uniform. I earned it. I can provide my military ID, my orders, whatever you need for verification. I don't need verification. I can see exactly what's happening here. Holbrook moved closer, his voice hardening. You purchased that uniform, pinned on fake medals, and now you're parading around pretending to be something you're not. It's offensive to actual service members. Mitchell's jaw clenched. He'd lost brothers in Iraq and Afghanistan. He'd cradled dying teammates. He'd been injured saving others, and this deputy claimed he was disrespecting service members. Other customers at the station were starting to pay attention. A guy at pump 3 slowed down, watching. A woman inside the convenience store pressed against the window. Should law enforcement verify military identification before making accusations against service members? Share your answer below. Mitchell slowly reached into his jacket pocket, moving deliberately to avoid misinterpretation. Officer, I'm retrieving my military ID. It's in my inside pocket. I'm going to present my credentials. Keep those hands visible. Holbrook's hand shifted closer to his weapon. Mitchell froze, then proceeded even more carefully, extracting his military ID card, the common access card every service member carries. He extended it. This is my military identification. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy. My DoD ID number is displayed here. You can contact Naval Base San Diego. You can contact NCIS. Everything can be verified. Holbrook accepted the card, glanced at it for perhaps 3 seconds, and returned it. Anyone can print fake identification. They're available online for $20. Mitchell stared at him. The ID featured holograms, security elements, an embedded microchip, the Department of Defense emblem. It was as official as identification gets. This isn't counterfeit. Examine the security features. Look at the hologram. This is a military common access card. It's nearly impossible to convincingly fake. Looks fake to me. Mitchell indicated his chest, the rows of ribbons precisely arranged. These ribbons, these medals, they're in proper sequence according to military regulations. Navy Cross, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, with V device. These represent specific commendations. You can verify each one. Anyone can purchase fake medals online. I've encountered it previously. Holbrook's voice was flat, dismissive. Mitchell's patience was eroding, but he persisted. Sir, I'm requesting you make one phone call. Contact the Naval Special Warfare Command duty officer. Contact NCIS. They can confirm my identity within 5 minutes. I'm not asking you to trust my word. I'm asking you to verify through proper channels. I don't need to contact anyone. I can recognize what's authentic and what's counterfeit. This was the moment bias became impenetrable. Holbrook had decided before arriving that Mitchell was faking military service. Every piece of proof afterward, the ID, the uniform, the medals, the composed behavior, was filtered through that initial conclusion. He wasn't observing a Navy SEAL. He was observing a criminal attempting to deceive him. The gas station security cameras were capturing everything from 2 perspectives, one positioned above the pumps, one above the store entrance. The recording would later demonstrate Mitchell standing calmly, hands visible, speaking in controlled tones. It would show Holbrook aggressive, dismissive, refusing to examine evidence. Other customers were retrieving their phones now. A man at Pump 7 had his camera raised, recording. The woman in the store was filming through the glass. Everyone could witness what was unfolding, a black man in military dress being accused of impersonation despite presenting credentials. Mitchell attempted once more. Officer Holbrook, reading the nameplate. I'm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell. I've served 16 years in the Navy, 12 as a SEAL. I have my military ID, my orders in my vehicle, my leave documents. I'm requesting you verify my credentials before this escalates further. Holbrook's voice turned harsh, commanding. Remove that uniform immediately. You're not authorized to wear it. Take it off now. Mitchell stared at him, processing what was being demanded. Stripped from his dress uniform at a gas station under fluorescent lights with strangers observing. Remove the uniform he'd earned through blood and sacrifice. I'm not stripping from my dress uniform at a gas station, sir. This is my uniform. I'm authorized to wear it. I'm an active duty officer. That's a direct order. Remove the uniform or I'll remove it for you. Mitchell's voice remained controlled, but the edge was unmistakable. Officer, what you're demanding is unreasonable and illegal. I'm not removing my uniform. I've presented my credentials. I've asked you to verify my identity. You're refusing to perform basic due diligence. Holbrook grabbed his radio. Dispatch, this is 3 Adam 12. I need backup at the Chevron on Highland. Subject is combative, refusing lawful orders, possible stolen valor situation. Mitchell's hands remained raised, visible, non-threatening. His voice carried across the lot, clear enough for the recording phones to capture. I am not combative. I am not refusing lawful orders. I am a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy, and I'm being unlawfully detained. Holbrook stepped closer, invading Mitchell's personal space. You're impersonating a military officer. That's federal under the Stolen Valor Act. You're under arrest. The irony was staggering. Holbrook was charging Mitchell with stolen valor while about to commit deprivation of rights under color of law, false imprisonment, assault on military personnel, multiple federal felonies that would eventually send Holbrook to prison for decades. But Holbrook couldn't perceive it. His bias was absolute. Mitchell took a slow breath, the kind he'd learned in combat when remaining calm meant survival. "Sir, I've served this nation for 16 years. I've deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I've been wounded in action. I've saved lives. I've earned every ribbon on this uniform. I'm not a criminal. I'm asking you one final time to verify my credentials before you make a mistake that ends your career." "Your career is finished, buddy. You're going to jail." 2 additional patrol vehicles pulled into the station, lights flashing, sirens winding down. Deputy Maria Santos and Deputy Jeff Coleman stepped out, evaluating the situation. A black man in military dress, hands raised, calm demeanor. Their colleague aggressive, confrontational. Santos exchanged a look with Coleman. This didn't appear right. Santos approached first. "Holbrook, what's happening here?" "Stolen valor. Subject is impersonating a naval officer, refuses to remove the fake uniform, refuses lawful commands." Santos looked at Mitchell, at the uniform, at the rows of medals that appeared expensive, official, meticulously arranged. "Sir, can you identify yourself?" Mitchell's voice was steady, professional. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy SEALs. I showed Deputy Holbrook my military ID. I've asked him repeatedly to verify my credentials through Naval Base San Diego or NCIS. He's declined. This is an unlawful detention." Coleman stepped closer, examining the uniform more carefully. The ribbons were in correct precedence sequence. Navy Cross at top, something you couldn't replicate without detailed military knowledge. The trident appeared authentic, the weight and quality of genuine gold. The shoulder boards displayed proper rank markings. "Holbrook, did you verify his identification?" "It's counterfeit. Anyone can see that." Santos pulled out her phone. "What base are you assigned to, sir?" "Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, SEAL Team 3. My commanding officer is Captain Raymond Torres. The duty officer tonight should be Lieutenant Hayes. You can call the quarterdeck. They'll confirm my identity in 2 minutes." Santos started dialing. Holbrook grabbed her arm. "We don't need to call. I'm telling you it's fake." Santos jerked her arm away, her expression hardening. "Holbrook, if there's any possibility he's legitimate, we verify. That's standard procedure." "He's not legitimate. He's black. Look at him. You honestly think he's a Navy SEAL?" The words hung in the atmosphere, captured by multiple phones, recorded by gas station cameras, the implicit bias made explicit. Santos and Coleman both recoiled. Mitchell closed his eyes briefly. There it was, the truth. Holbrook had been dancing around, finally spoken aloud. Coleman's voice dropped low. "Holbrook, what did you just say?" But Holbrook was committed now, too invested to retreat. "I'm arresting him." "Subject, turn around, hands behind your back." Mitchell made a decision. He could resist, argue, make this physical, or he could comply, document everything, and allow the system Holbrook represented to address what happened next. He turned around, positioning his hands behind his back. "I'm complying under protest. I am Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, active duty United States Navy SEAL. This arrest is unlawful. I've committed no crime. I've shown proper identification. I've requested verification through official channels. This is being recorded by multiple witnesses and security cameras." Holbrook pulled out his handcuffs and snapped them on Mitchell's wrists, deliberately tight, the metal cutting into skin. Mitchell winced, but remained silent. The handcuffs crushed against his uniform jacket, wrinkling the fabric, pressing the metals into his chest. Santos stood frozen, her phone still in her hand, watching something that felt catastrophically wrong. Coleman's face showed pure horror at what his colleague was doing. Holbrook walked Mitchell toward his patrol vehicle, one hand gripping Mitchell's arm, the other on his duty belt. Mitchell's dress shoes scraped across the concrete. His uniform, immaculate 10 minutes earlier, was now wrinkled, disheveled. The ribbons sat askew. His tie was pulled sideways. A decorated war hero, A man who'd earned the Navy Cross for exceptional heroism, being perp-walked across a gas station lot like a common criminal. The customers at the gas station erupted. "He's actually in the military. We saw his ID. Verify his credentials. Contact the base. This is wrong. He didn't do anything. Officer, you're making a mistake. He showed you his identification." Holbrook ignored them all. Several onlookers had called 911, but the dispatcher reported deputies were already present. Others felt powerless to intervene against an armed officer. Santos and Coleman stood by their vehicles, uncertain, conflicted, watching their colleague commit a federal crime. Why do some law enforcement officers see black men in uniform and assume it's counterfeit? Share your thoughts in the comments. The drive to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Station took 11 minutes. Mitchell sat in the back of Holbrook's patrol vehicle, hands cuffed behind him, the metal digging into his wrists. The partition separated him from Holbrook, who drove in silence, probably already composing his arrest report mentally, convinced he'd performed solid police work. Mitchell stared out the window at the streets he'd grown up on, the neighborhoods he'd escaped through military service, now being transported through them in handcuffs. They arrived at the station at 11:19 p.m. Holbrook pulled into the Sallyport, the secure garage where prisoners are brought in, away from public view. He opened the rear door and pulled Mitchell out, walking him through the metal door into the booking area. The booking sergeant on duty was Luis Moreno, a 19-year veteran who'd seen everything or thought he had. He looked up from his computer as Holbrook walked Mitchell in and froze. A man in Navy service dress blues, complete uniform, rows of ribbons on his chest, the Navy Cross visible at the top, gold trident on his lapel, hands cuffed behind his back. Moreno stood up slowly. "Holbrook, what the hell did you arrest?" "Stolen valor. Subject was at a gas station impersonating a naval officer, wearing a fake uniform, fake medals. Refused to remove the uniform when ordered. Refused lawful commands. I'm booking him for impersonating a military officer under federal statute." Moreno walked around his desk, approaching Mitchell, examining the uniform more closely. The ribbons were in perfect sequence, arranged according to military precedence regulations. Navy Cross, Navy and Marine Corps Medal, Purple Heart, Bronze Star with the small V device, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, campaign ribbons from Iraq and Afghanistan. The uniform fit perfectly tailored, expensive. The shoes were polished to a mirror finish. The trident looked like genuine gold, not costume jewelry. "Sir, what's your name?" "Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy, serial number November 4378921. I showed Deputy Holbrook my military ID. I asked him to verify my credentials. He refused." Mitchell's voice was calm, but carried the exhaustion of someone who'd been fighting an absurd battle for the past 30 minutes. Moreno held out his hand. "Can I see your ID?" Mitchell nodded toward his jacket pocket. "Inside left pocket." Moreno carefully reached into Mitchell's pocket and pulled out the common access card. He examined it under the bright booking area lights. Hologram intact, embedded security chip visible. Department of Defense seal embossed. Photo matched the man standing in front of him. The ID showed rank Lieutenant Commander, 04. Branch of Service United States Navy. Expiration date, 18 months from now. Moreno turned to Holbrook. "This looks authentic. It's fake. Anyone can print those." Moreno had seen counterfeit military IDs before. They were usually obviously fake, printed on regular cardstock, no security features, wrong fonts. This wasn't that. This had weight, texture, multiple security layers. "Holbrook, this has an RFID chip. You can't fake that." He walked back to his desk and picked up his phone. "What base are you assigned to, Commander?" "Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, SEAL Team 3. Moreno dialed the number for NAB Coronado Quarterdeck, the 24-hour duty station. It rang twice. "Quarterdeck, Petty Officer Hayes speaking. This is a non-secure line. This is Sergeant Moreno, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. I need to verify the identity of someone claiming to be one of your personnel. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell says he's assigned to SEAL Team 3. There was a pause, the sound of typing. "Stand by, Sergeant." The wait felt like forever, but lasted maybe 90 seconds. Hayes came back on the line, his voice more formal. "Sergeant, I can confirm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell is an active duty officer assigned to Naval Special Warfare Group 1, SEAL Team 3. What's the nature of your inquiry?" Moreno's face went white. "He's been arrested." "Arrested for what?" "Hold on." Moreno looked at Holbrook, then at Mitchell, then back at Holbrook. "He's real. He's an active duty SEAL Team 3 officer. You arrested a Navy SEAL." Within 6 minutes of that phone call, the situation escalated beyond anything San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department had ever handled. Petty Officer Hayes immediately notified his officer of the deck. The OOD notified the command duty officer. The CDO notified SEAL Team 3's commanding officer, Captain Raymond Torres, at his residence. Torres, knowing Mitchell had attended a memorial service that evening and was heading to visit family, immediately understood something had gone catastrophically wrong. At 11:31 p.m., Torres called the Naval Criminal Investigative Service duty officer in San Diego. "This is Captain Torres, SEAL Team 3. One of my officers, Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, has been arrested by San Bernardino County Sheriff. I need NCIS involved immediately." The NCIS agent, Special Agent Kellerman, pulled up Mitchell's service record on his computer as Torres spoke. "Combat deployments, Navy Cross, Purple Heart, active security clearance, 0 disciplinary issues. Captain, what are the charges?" "Unknown, but he was in dress blues heading to visit his mother. Whatever happened, this needs federal attention." NCIS notified Naval Special Warfare Command Headquarters. NSW Command maintains a direct line to the Pentagon for situations involving special operations personnel. By 11:47 p.m., the duty officer at the Pentagon's Naval Operations Center was briefed a Navy SEAL, decorated combat veteran, arrested in California under unclear circumstances. This wasn't a local matter anymore. At 12:30 a.m., Navy JAG Judge Advocate General's Corps attorneys at Naval Base San Diego were activated. 2 senior military lawyers began preparing to drive to San Bernardino. Pentagon public affairs officers were notified, preparing for what could become a national story. At 12:15 a.m., Captain Torres personally called Sheriff Robert Decker at home. Decker, awakened from sleep, listened as Torres explained with barely controlled fury that one of his officers, a decorated SEAL with 16 years of exemplary service, had been arrested at a gas station for wearing his uniform. "Sheriff, Lieutenant Commander Mitchell holds a top-secret sensitive compartmented information clearance. He's been on classified deployments. He's earned the Navy Cross for exceptional heroism, and one of your deputies arrested him for stolen valor. I have Navy JAG en route. I have NCIS involved. And I'm about to notify the Secretary of the Navy that one of my SEALs was arrested for being black in uniform." Decker's blood went cold. He immediately called the station, demanded the watch commander brief him. The watch commander pulled the booking information, saw Mitchell's name, saw the charges, saw that Sergeant Moreno had already verified Mitchell's military status. Decker arrived at the station by 12:40 a.m., still in civilian clothes, his face showing the horror of someone who just realized his department had committed an unthinkable error. He walked into the booking area where Mitchell still stood, hands now uncuffed, uniform wrinkled, but dignity intact. "Commander Mitchell, I'm Sheriff Decker. I cannot adequately apologize for what's happened. You're being released immediately. All charges are dropped." Mitchell's voice was quiet, controlled. "Sheriff, your deputy arrested a decorated military officer at a gas station for wearing his uniform. He refused to verify my credentials. He demanded I strip from my dress blues in public. He handcuffed me in front of witnesses. This isn't something an apology fixes." Decker nodded, his face pale. "I understand, sir. We'll conduct a full investigation." "The Pentagon is already conducting their investigation, Sheriff. This is out of your hands now." While Mitchell stood in the booking area waiting for the sheriff to process his release, his complete service record was being pulled up on computer screens from San Diego to Washington, D.C. Every deployment, every mission, every award, every evaluation was being reviewed by Navy leadership, NCIS investigators, Pentagon officials, and within hours, the U.S. Attorney's Office. The record painted a picture that made Holbrook's arrest not just wrong, but obscene. Darius Mitchell had enlisted in the Navy at 22 years old, scored high enough on the ASVAB to qualify for any rating, chose to attempt Bud-S training. He'd survived Hell Week, the infamous 5.5 days of continuous training with maximum 4 hours of sleep total. He'd survived the pool competency tests where instructors tried to drown you to test your calm under pressure. He'd survived the cold, the pain, the instructors designed to break you. 78% of his class quit. Mitchell graduated, earned his trident, became a Navy SEAL. First deployment came in 2009 Iraq, Ramadi and Fallujah, clearing buildings, hunting high-value targets, combat operations that lasted months. Second deployment, Afghanistan, Helmand Province, 2011 hunting Taliban commanders in the mountains, 8 months of firefights and IED threats. Third deployment back to Iraq, in 2014 Mosul, fighting ISIS. Operations so intense the casualty rate for his platoon was 40%. Fourth deployment, Syria, 2016 classified operations against ISIS leadership. Fifth deployment, Yemen, 2018, counter-terrorism missions the American public never heard about. Sixth deployment, back to Afghanistan, 2019 training Afghan Special Forces while conducting direct action missions. 6 combat deployments over 12 years as a SEAL. Most Americans serve 1 deployment their entire career. Mitchell had 6. In 2016, during an operation outside Mosul, Mitchell's 8-man SEAL team was ambushed while securing a compound. Heavy machine gun fire from 3 directions, RPGs exploding, walls collapsing. 2 teammates were hit immediately, wounded, unable to move. Mitchell, already hit by shrapnel in his left leg, bleeding, his uniform soaked with blood, ran into the kill zone. He dragged the first wounded SEAL to cover 40 yards under continuous fire. Ran back into the kill zone for the second. Then a third teammate was hit. Mitchell went back again. He held a defensive position alone for 12 minutes while the team called for air support and evacuated the wounded. He fired his M4 until the ammunition was exhausted.